this is heavy.
Yeah, well, hey, come on, you're looking at R3.8 per inch.
Oh, this better be worth it.
Oh, don't you worry, it's going to be worth it. Tommy's going to tell us everything we need to know about insulation. Well, good morning. I'm Kevin O'Connor, and welcome back to... I'm talking here.
Where's Richard?
Oh, Richard. Well, don't even get me started about Richard and his vanity.
We've lived in the house a little less than a year now, and we really love it. Our only complaint is the upstairs bathroom. My husband and I cannot stand this vanity. It functions just fine, but we're not really that big fans of black faux marble laminate. We also don't like the fact that it extends over the top of the toilet. We've had a couple of problems with this toilet, and it makes it almost impossible to fix anything in the toilet. A nice undermounted sink would be great. Richard, I need your help.
All right, Katie, time to get to work. We need to get rid of this countertop, the sink, the vanity, and this electrical outlet right here on the side.
That's the only one in the bathroom, so I'd really like to keep it if we can.
All right, then we'll disconnect that and see if we can put it back into the new vanity. But I want you to do a lot of the work today, so why don't you dive under there, and there's 2 shut-off valves. Just turn them clockwise to the right and shut the water off. That's the hot. All right, Katie, using that adjustable open-end wrench, I want you to just loosen those nuts right at the top of the shut-off valves. Again, lefty-loosey. You can loosen it with your hand if it's loose enough. Just spin that right off. All right, that's the hot. Now we want to do the cold on the other side. Very good. All right, so there's our hot and cold connections done. Now we have one more thing to disconnect, and that's the drain connection to that trap. With the pliers, I just want you to loosen the nut right there, that top nut. Now actually, just flip those pliers over. They actually grip better on the nut if you go that way. Yep, good. Loosen that. When it gets loose enough, you can do it by hand. Now this is a self-rimming sink, which means the only thing that holds it to the countertop is some caulking. I want to take a razor knife and just to relieve that caulking so we can pop it out of there. All right, let's see if I can pry this up with a flat bar. Now the countertop is screwed to the base, so there's a series of screws I'm going to remove, and we can take the countertop right out. All right, Kay, this is wedged in, so we got to sort of work it, keep it square. Keep coming, keep coming. Hopefully these walls are true. Keep coming. Now bring it straight up, if you can. Will it come? Careful. Keep coming. Yeah, good. That makes us be able to get it out of here. There we go. Good. Follow me. Now, the only thing still holding the vanity in place is the hot and the cold piping and this electrical wire. To make it easy, I'm just going to cut the floor of the vanity out. Okay. I think we're all clear, Katie. Just grab an end of that. Let's pull that electrical outlet right there. Say goodbye.
Goodbye.
Well, Katie, when you go shopping for vanities, there's some choices to be made. There's really a wide range of vanities, and it starts with something like this. This is really a piece of ornate furniture. You can see there's a granite countertop and a china bowl. And it goes down to something like this, the most basic of vanity combinations. It comes in a couple different finishes. It's a pressboard cabinet. And this is actually a cultured marble top, where the top and the bowl are molded together, and the backsplash is as well.
What do they have that's in between?
Well, in between's here. This is really a special order department. You pick out the door style you want, and then you come to this point, and you pick out the wood you want and the finish. And 2 to 3 weeks later, you've got your new vanity.
What do they have in stock, Richard?
Well, stock is all right here. You've got cherry, you've got black, and you've got white. A variety of different depths and widths, 30, 36, and 48. Now, you need 36 inches at your place. This one actually has drawers on the right, and it has a drawer at the bottom, which is pretty handy.
Okay. Yeah, I like all the storage, but I don't like the raised panel on the doors and the drawers.
All right, well, they actually have a beadboard one, too, that gives you the right-hand drawers, but no big drawer at the bottom. Mm-hmm. Okay? Now, anytime you order a stock cabinet with drawers, you've got to be careful. They're almost always on the right-hand side, so you do want to check where the drain connection for your sink comes out. If it's too far over here, it can get in the way of the drawers, so we'll have to watch out for that. So what do you think?
I really like this one. I think it'll look great in our bathroom.
Well, good. Let's go look at countertops.
Okay.
Katie, when it comes to sinks and countertops in the bathroom, this was once the principal choice that we had. It's a self-rimming China lavatory sink. You put caulking underneath the rim right here and drop it down into a laminate countertop.
Okay, so just like what we have now. I don't really like that because the water pools right here and it gets really messy.
You know, many people feel the same way. So most vanity tops nowadays are some version of these molded tops that have the countertop and the bowl all together in one. This is cultured marble. You can see the top and the sink and the backsplash are all one. It's some form of plastic. This is actually solid surface material. You've got a countertop, and attached to the underside, you've got a plastic bowl, and it's already pre-attached for you. Okay, that also has a backsplash that's built in. And this is granite. Granite that has a china bowl attached to the underside right here. Okay, and that's really heavy. So, what do you think between those three?
I think I like the black granite. I think it'll look great in the bathroom.
I think the black will look great against the tile, too. Now, I'm also glad you picked this because this is a sink that has one of these, an overflow. See this small hole right here? If you actually put the stopper down and left the water running by mistake, the water level would rise, and the water would be able to come out through this overflow and down the drain. And it wouldn't overflow the sink itself onto the floor. And you see it right here on the backside. There's the overflow, and it's molded right into this china bowl. Now, there isn't an overflow in some of these molded sinks right here, and that's actually not code in some states.
Okay.
All right, so this countertop has pre-drilled holes for faucets. This one's 8 inches on center. Let's go find ourselves a faucet, and let's get back to the house.
Okay, great.
All right, here is our new vanity base. Just pass me the old drawer, would you? Now, the old vanity had nice narrow drawers. The new ones are much wider. That's good news for you. But it's bad news for me because these drawers block where the hot and the cold line come up through the floor. So that means I've got to repipe these over so that they come up on this side. And that means going to the basement and turning off the water. Now to move the pipes, I want to cut in 2 elbows. One about this height right here, and another one a little bit lower. And the 2 lines will come over here and up. For that, I need you to cut the pipe. Okay, this is a great little cutter called an imp. It has a screw right here that you have to tighten up carefully. And there's the blade. Just stick it on the pipe. You can see the mark I made down there. You can see the mark I made there. And just tighten it up. No, I think you're on too far. See the little wheels right there? Yep, right there. Perfect. Now just go around 360, yep. You should go right into the cut you first made. All right, looks like you can tighten that thumb screw a little bit. And as you do, that blade goes a little deeper in. Okay, there it is. Good.
Go.
All right, so take this cleaning brush, that side right there, and just clean the inside of these elbows. We're going to need a total of 4 of them. Just go in one direction because you don't want to wreck the brush. All right. Now I have dry fit all these pipes. I've got the hot and the cold that come across about 2 inches apart right here, but still underneath the base of the cabinet. Then they turn in 2 inches apart. And they come up just high enough so they'll come above the base of the cabinet floor. And now I will flex them and solder them in place. Installed a couple of half-inch copper test caps and actually turned the water back on downstairs. I want to be sure that these lines don't have any leaks on the solder connections because they're going to sit underneath the vanity base. Now, with that done, now I want to get the measurements off the wall so I can drill those holes. It's about 3.5 inches off the back wall for both of them, and from this side, it's 12 and 14 inches to center of the pipe. I want to just transfer those measurements and drill my holes. All right, it's 12 and 14 inches from this side. All right, Katie, there's one more modification we have to do. You can see the 2 copper lines are going to fit pretty good right there, but look at this. This drain line coming out of the wall is going to hit this backer piece, so I'm going to notch the back of that. Let me just mark it. Good. Okay, good. Now what I've also done is to rough in for our old electrical outlet. I drilled 4 pilot holes, and with a jigsaw I cut out the opening. And once that outlet is in place, I can secure it to the cabinet using these bars, Madison bars they call them. There's 2 tabs. Bend them over. There's one, okay. All right, screw their faceplate on, and it's time to go back to plumbing. So I turned the water off again so that I could cut these test caps off, because I want to install a couple of shutoff valves right here. But before I solder these shutoff valves, I want to be sure to disassemble them and remove these assemblies that have washers right here, because if I soldered it, I could deform the washers and they wouldn't hold. Now we need to think about securing our vanity cabinet to the wall. So I've got a high-speed drill bit and go through the cabinet in 2 places. Once I've drilled those holes, I'm going to take a masonry bit to go through the ceramic tile, install some anchors. Now to hold the countertop down to the vanity, I want you to put a silicone bead right along the top, okay?
Okay.
That's all we got. All right. Here we go. Ooh, that's going to fit nice. So the new shutoffs are in and they're holding, and I've already made my connection to the hot water supply. I'm using a stainless steel braided connection, and the connections here are called compression connections. So put that in and turn it clockwise, get it caught. Okay, and then just make that connection up tight with an adjustable open end. All right, so our hot and cold connections are made, and now it's time to make up this drain connection. I run the new pop-up assembly in here, and I went to tie into the old trap, and I decided to just take it apart because I saw this black repair coupling here, 2 stainless steel bands over this neoprene gasket, and I assumed that below it there would be this galvanized pipe, because that's really the vintage of this house, about 1920. But when I opened it up, I saw coming out of the wall PVC. So I would much prefer to have a very permanent connection by gluing a coupling onto there with a nice new trap. So I'm going to do that. So all it needs is a glue connection right here. All right, Katie, I want to put a little plumber's putty right on the top of this pop-up assembly right here. Just put that right on the top. Now, I've normally used plumber's putty for any of these types of connections, but I'm only using it on this porcelain sink right here. As you remember, we used silicone caulking right there. Well, it turns out that plumber's putty has oil in it, and it can actually leach into a stone top and stain it. But it's not a problem down here in this porcelain sink, so I'm going to use the plumber's putty there. Just hold that and just try to catch that thread. Just, you see it? Okay, good. Now, when I tighten the nut up down here, you're going to see that putty squeeze out. All right, Katie, it is all yours. Give it a try.
Right. Wow. It works great, and it's such an improvement over the last one. Thank you so much, Richard.
My pleasure. All right, boys. It is white. Has some Freddy thingies on both sides over here, and it has a couple of buttons. What is it?
Is that a professional term?
Thready
thing?
Male and female thready thingies.
You're a plumber. I get it. Now, you know what this is? This is to help out with the 4-year-old at home. That's why you guys don't know what this is, because I got a 4-year-old at home. They refuse to wash their hands.
The 24-year-olds do, too.
They run down to the sink, they turn on the water, but I know they're not using soap because I come back with the little germ fingers, right? Well, this is an inline soap dispenser that you screw to the faucet.
So there's always soapy water coming out of there.
Absolutely. So now he cannot help but to wash his hands with soap. I got him.
Okay, Sonny. How do you rinse the soap off your hands?
Well, Sonny, it turns out that I have got a little soap dispenser next to the sink, and I filled it with fresh water, huh?
That's
Really smart.
Father of the year.
Oh, yeah. Well, this is actually a breath buddy, Sonny. This will actually tell you something your friends won't. It'll tell you if you have bad breath.
If you would listen, we've been telling you.
Well, listen, this might buzz, I'm not sure.
Ooh, William, what's the light for?
Whoa, there's a light. Oh, the light must tell you if your breath is good.
No, it's broken. Broken. Gotta be broken. Now, actually, this goes on your shower arm. Your shower head goes right here. And when water comes through here, it makes enough power to turn on the light right here. So there's no batteries inside. Roger, show 'em.
Take a look.
Perfect. Works indoors, but it's great for an outdoor shower.
Hey, Tommy, I got something I need to tell you. Yeah? Tommy, we are getting a lot of questions on this subject. This is just a small sample. Stephen in Delaware is building a brand new house. He's got 2x6 exterior walls, so he's got an open stud bay there. David in Alabama, he's actually renovating, so he's gutted down to the studs. In this case, he's got 2x4 roughs on. Those are open bays. And Joe in Connecticut, well, he's renovating, but he hasn't taken any of his plaster down. It's all beautiful, and they've all got the same problem. They're trying to figure out how to insulate their exterior walls. It's a common question, and these are actually pretty typical situations. So
Yeah, well, they're good questions. If you have an open stud bay, then you can use any one of these insulations.
Okay, so let's talk about insulation in general. We all know that its primary metric is the R value. And it talks about how it either slows or stops the transfer of heat.
Right.
We either want to keep the heat in the house during the winter, or we want to keep the heat outside of the house during the summer.
Right, because heat always wants to go to cold.
Okay, so R values. What do
All
we
right,
look
this is cellulose right here, and this is about 3.6 per inch.
So an R value of 3.6 per inch.
Right,
Gotcha.
and this is blown into the wall cavity. This is called a wet blow or sticky blow, where they blow it through a gun, and there's a mist of water that actually mists the insulation and sticks it together and dense packs it into the wall.
All right, and it's really just chopped up newspaper, right? You can
Chopped
see
up
it right here.
newspaper, it's treated with a boron, and that's a fire retardant and also an insecticide.
Gotcha. Okay, and this guy right here in the middle,
All right, this is a closed cell insulation.
that is really hard and rigid.
Very rigid. Now, the R factor of this is 6 per inch.
Wow, so that's pretty high.
It's very high.
Gotcha. All right, and this guy right here,
This is an open cell, again, 3.6, 3.8.
Per
All about the same. And all of the other insulations that we're going to look at are about the same, except for this one right here.
and we blow this in, it very quickly expands, and now we've just shaved it off to fill this entire
Right.
stud.
Goes in as a liquid, 6 seconds, it expands, you shave off the excess.
Gotcha. Okay, and what are we looking at right here?
All right, this is a ground up blue jeans. It's made into a bat,
Mm-hmm.
and you just put it into the wall the same as you would put in fiberglass insulation.
Gotcha. All right, and everyone knows fiberglass. This is very common all across the country.
Right. Now, fiberglass insulation goes into the stud bay. It should be put into the stud bay loosely, not packed in tight.
Because this is all about trapping air, and so actually compacting it in there means that we're trapping less air, so you want to actually leave it sort of fluffy.
Now, because air moves in this wall cavity, sometimes you want to put on an air barrier on the outside, and that will stabilize the efficiency of the insulation. Actually, it will stop the air from moving inside the wall cavity so that the R factor is stable in cold, windy conditions.
Gotcha. Okay, so let's also talk about the movement of air, because air can contain vapor, so we have to think about which way the vapor is going and how we either stop that or slow it down.
Right, that warm air, think of it as filled with moisture.
Right.
And it's trying to get to that cold side back here on the sheet.
Warm goes to cold, gotcha.
So a vapor barrier right here. This is a polyethylene. You staple it to the wall, and that stops the moisture from getting into the wall cavity.
Now, you've always told us that you want to see the vapor barrier on the warm side of the wall. So down in Florida, put it on the outside. Up in Alaska, keep it on the inside. That doesn't work for us here in New England because we've got both a heating and a cooling system. In the winter, we're making heat in the house, and that's going to want to go out. In the summer, air conditioning, obviously.
Right. Well, what can happen is the vapor in the winter, in the summertime, can collect on the backside of your drywall. And it can't breathe or dry out if you have a vapor barrier. But this is a vapor retarder. And it basically puts up just like the poly, but it actually allows the stud bay to breathe so that in the summertime, the moisture that does collect back on the backside of this retarder can actually dry out because it breathes.
It's not a full barrier. It does want to work in one direction. Slow the vapor transfer on this side, but allow it to breathe on this side.
Now, this is a sheet. You can also get it on the insulation itself.
Gotcha. Okay, so some pretty good lessons right there. Obviously, all these are going to need a vapor barrier or a vapor retarder. What about this wall right here?
Well, because of the makeup of the open cell and the cellulose, it's dense, and air can't move in it quickly, so it doesn't need a air barrier. But it depends on where you are in the country to establish whether or not you need a vapor retardant or a barrier.
So depending on what climate you live in, you may have to figure it out. In terms of the closed cell, do we need a
Closed
vapor?
cell doesn't need a vapor retardant or a vapor barrier.
So this sounds like a really good option. It sort of begs the question, why don't we see it used pretty much everywhere?
Well, I think the biggest drawback to this is cost. All right, this is 4 times the cost of this or even a fiberglass insulation.
Wow, this can get really expensive.
Double the cost of this foam.
Gotcha. Okay. Now, everything we've looked at right here is in an open stud base, so we know that they can go, if you've got it all the way down to the studs or if it's new construction, what about a retrofit application?
All right, a retrofit, you can take this cellulose right here, not wet blow it, but blow it through the machine through a small hole in the wall, usually 2 holes, one in the center and then one at the top, and blows through the machine and actually dense packs it into the wall cavity.
Okay.
Now, the fiberglass insulation over here, you can actually have a product that instead of it being in bats, it comes in individual pieces like this, and it goes through the same kind of machine, sucks it in through a bigger hole, like a 2 or 3 inch hole, and dense packs that into the wall cavity also. Again, a double blow is important. Halfway up and about a foot down from the top.
So also good for retrofit. What about the blue jean? Can we blow this in a
No,
retrofit?
no, that's a bat system. It has to go into an open wall cavity.
Gotcha. And how about our foams? On the open cell, we've seen you actually pour this in through little tiny holes.
This is actually flowable or pourable. It's a faster set time. When you spray it, it's 6 to 8 seconds. When you pour it into the wall cavity, it's 5 to 8 minutes. It goes in as a liquid, sits on the bottom, 5 minutes, and then grows up inside the wall cavity.
And then our closed cell foam, can we retrofit this?
You cannot retrofit it. It has to go into an open cavity.
All right, Thomas, so some very good information, quite a bit of it there, but we got questions coming, so hopefully that'll straighten some people out. Thank
Hope
you.
so.
Well, if you've got questions about your house, we'd love to hear from you, so keep those letters and keep those emails coming. And until next time, I'm Kevin O'Connor
And I'm Tom Silver.
for Ask This Old House. You should see the size of this mail pile.
Big.
It's like an R7.
Really? Oh, an R7. Ooh, that's a lot of paper.
If you have a question about your house or a tip you'd like to share, visit our website, pbs.org, for expert advice, step-by-step videos, and much more.